Welcome to Biography Central. You are listening to Life of Sri Ramakrishna, a complete biography. Chapter 17, Ramlala. The incident of Ramlala is one of the most affecting episodes in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, because it shows how the Supreme may be approached and realized through the channel of human sentiment. Through it, it's demonstrated the truth that God is neither a hard taskmaster nor an eternally receding abstract entity, but the nearest and dearest of all, always willing to make himself known to his devotees. If we but stretch one hand out to touch him, he responds with both. So kind and so loving is he. It was probably about the year 1864 that Jatadhari first came to Dakshineswar. He was an itinerant monk and a devotee of Rama. In his close association with Sri Ramakrishna, he was able to guide him in some of the various modes of worship. The master often said that Jatadhari's love and yearning for God was peerless. Ramlala, or the child Rama, was his favorite deity, and he gave himself up to his service. By long meditation and worship, Jatadhari had made great progress in spirituality and had been blessed with a wonderful vision of Rama. His mind remained always on a high level of spiritual consciousness. The distractions of the world were left far behind, and he saw in the image which he always carried about with him the effulgent form of the young Rama, occasionally at first, but later constantly, so that eventually his beloved Ishtadeva became a living presence to him. The service of Ramlala was his sole preoccupation. He nursed him, fed and played with him, and, at night, even put him to bed. He forgot everything else, his own personal comfort and pleasure, in this sadhana. Jatadhari had never told anyone of his vision, but he could not hide it from Sri Ramakrishna. Intimately familiar with the various states of divine consciousness, he discovered Jatadhari's cherished secret. He observed the ecstasy that constantly overpowered the new sadhu and invited him to stay at Dakshineswar. He would spend hours with him watching his impassioned devotion to Ramlala. The Babaji, Jaduri, said the master later to a group of disciples, was the lifelong devotee of Ramlala, whom he carried wherever he went. He would cook whatever he got by begging and offer it to him. He actually found that Ramlala took the food. Sometimes he would demand something else. Again, he would act like a spoiled child. Jatadhari was engaged day and night in the service of the image and was in a state of constant bliss. I could see the actions of Ramlala, so I used to spend the whole day with the Babaji to watch him. Days passed in this way, and Ramlala became more and more close with me. As long as I remained with Jatadhari, Ramlala was cheerful, but the moment I left, he followed me to my room. No argument would affect him. At first, I thought that it might be a hallucination, for how could Ramlala prefer me, practically a stranger, to Jatadhari, whose whole life was spent in his service? I argued that I might be deceived once or twice, but this scene was repeated every day. I saw Ramlala as vividly as I see you all, now dancing gracefully before me, now springing on my back or insisting on being taken up in my arms. Sometimes I would hold him on my lap. He would not remain there, but run to the fields in the sun, pluck flowers from thorny bushes, or jump into the Ganges. I would remonstrate, saying, "Don't run in the sun. Your feet will get blistered. Don't remain so long in water. You will catch cold and get a fever." But Ramlala would turn a deaf ear. He would fix his beautiful eyes on me and smile, or like a naughty boy he would go on with his pranks, or pout his lips or make faces at me. Sometimes I would lose my temper and cry, "Wait, you naughty boy, I'm going to beat you black and blue." I would drag him away and, diverting him with various toys, ask him to play inside the room. But sometimes I lost patience and slapped him. With tearful eyes and trembling lips, he would look at me. Oh, what pain I would feel then for having punished him. I would take him in my lap and console him. All these things actually happened. One day, Sri Ramakrishna continued, I was going to bathe. Ramlala insisted on accompanying me. I took him with me, but he would not come out of the water, nor did he heed my remonstrances. Then I got angry and, pressing him under the water, said, "Now play in it as much as you like." I saw him struggling for breath. Then, repenting of my act, I took him up in my arms. Another incident pained me greatly, and I wept bitterly for it. He insisted on having something which I could not supply. To divert him, I gave him some parched rice not well husked, as that's all I had at that time. As he was chewing them, I found his tender tongue was scratched. The sight was too much for me. I took him on my lap and cried out, "Mother Kausalya used to feed you with cream or butter with the greatest care, and I was so thoughtless as to give you this coarse stuff?" In recounting the incident, he was overpowered by the same feeling and wept so bitterly that his hearers were moved to tears. But they got a faint glimpse of the master's impassioned love for Ramlala. Sometimes the Babaji, the master, went on, after cooking his food, could not find Ramlala. Being sorely distressed, he would run to my room and find Ramlala playing with me. In wounded pride, the sadhu would say, "The food is ready, and I have been searching for you, and here you are playing at your ease. Well, that is your nature. You do whatever you like. You have no feelings. Hard and unkind, you left your parents and went to the forest. Your father died of a broken heart, but you did not return even to see him on his deathbed." Scolding thus, he would take Ramlala away and feed him. The Babaji stayed here for a long time because Ramlala would not go away from me, and the Babaji could not leave behind his dearly beloved Ramlala. One day, Jagari came to me weeping and said, "Ramlala, out of his infinite grace, has fulfilled my desire. He has revealed himself to me in the form I prefer, but he has told me that he will not go and leave you behind. But I'm not distressed on that account. I am filled with joy to see him live here happily and play with you. I'm satisfied when he is happy. I shall gladly leave him with you and go my way. It gladdens my heart to think that he is happy in your company." With these words, Jatadhari left Ramlala with me and bade adieu to Dakshineswar. Ever since Ramlala has been here. This, in brief, is the story of Sri Ramakrishna's vatsalya form of devotion to Sri Rama. Human love is but a faint reflection of divine love. Our attachments are usually prompted by worldly considerations and depend upon time, place, or circumstances. Divine love is constant, undecaying, and unconditioned. Even death cannot intervene between God and his devotee. God is very near, but our vision is so blurred by 1,000 petty desires that he seems far off. Thousands of people may walk over a rich subterranean mine without dreaming of the treasures hidden underfoot. Only an expert gets the clue to their existence and digs them out. Thousands of men and women have seen Ramlala, but to every one of them he is nothing but the little metal image. If they are told of this episode in Sri Ramakrishna's life, they would consider it a poetical fancy. But an ocean of difference lies between the ordinary mentality and that of Sri Ramakrishna. Which of us can say that he has pined sincerely for God and had no response? Which of us can satisfy himself that he has searched for God with all his heart and soul, and yet has not felt him speaking to him as did Ramlala to Sri Ramakrishna? The world is full of much talk with no practice. But God exists for all that. If the experiences of a single devotee are true, then in spite of all assertions to the contrary, God is true, sensed by others with the necessary zeal. He always reveals himself to the true devotee in the form most pleasing to the devotee. Yes, we can see God, and that more intensely than we see the world. He is the only shining reality, of which all else is but a passing shadow. Seek him in the right spirit, and you shall find him. The trouble is that we are unwilling to go through the necessary discipline. For a material thing, we can patiently wait for years, but in this most momentous of pursuits, we will not wait. Hence our failure. It was because Sri Ramakrishna applied himself to the task with wonderful sincerity, renunciation, patience, and one-pointed zeal that he achieved success in an incredibly short time. There is no record in spiritual history to equal it. If we inquire why after the completion of his Tantrika sadhana, Sri Ramakrishna was attracted to the Vaishnava ways of worship, of which his experiences with Ramlala formed a part, the reasons were various. The first and foremost was the combination of different qualities in his character. Though he was stern as the most austere of gnanis, he was at the same time loving as a bhakta. Though a hard taskmaster and strict disciplinarian, he was as solicitous for the welfare of his disciples as a mother. These attributes are not contradictory when viewed from the highest standpoint, for they represent different attitudes of the mind towards the truth. Usually, a sadhaka is satisfied with the realization of only one aspect of God. But Sri Ramakrishna desired to know him in every aspect. He knew no exhaustion, no satiety. He had scarcely attained the goal of one mode of worship when he took up another. His whole life was spent in seeking God in different ways and realizing him in diverse aspects. Secondly, it will be remembered that he was born of a Vaishnava family, his father being a devoted follower of Raghavir. Born and reared in such environments, Sri Ramakrishna naturally leaned towards Vaishnavism. Lastly, the Brahmani, who was his teacher in the Tantrika sadhana, was, as we know, herself a great Vaishnava devotee. So it was quite natural that Sri Ramakrishna should be attracted towards Vaishnavism. During the first 4 years of his sadhana, we saw him adopting the calm and placid attitude towards the deity, Shantha, or that of a servant to his master, Dasya. We remember his following in the footsteps of Hanuman and his being blessed with the vision of Sita. Sometimes also he adopted the attitude of a friend towards the divinity, Sakya, in the manner of Sri Dhamma, Sudama, and the other companions of Sri Krishna. We hear of his attaining perfection in these different modes of Vaishnava discipline. Now he wished to try the 2 remaining modes of worship, the relation of parent to child, vatsalya, and that of a girl to her lover, Madhura. While practicing vatsalya sadhana, Sri Ramakrishna became possessed with the idea that he was a woman. He was helped in this through his inherent tenderness, a feminine quality. He forgot his masculine nature, and his speech and gestures so resembled a woman's that the women of Mathar's family, with whom he associated now, accepted him as one of themselves. We find him at this time worshipping the Divine Mother as her handmaiden, fanning her with great care or performing other similar services. His meeting Jatadhari at this juncture lent an added impetus to these tendencies and decided his particular form of worship, filling him with an absorbing love for the child Rama. He felt the same motherly love for the divine child as did the queen Kausalya for her boy. Before Jatadhari left Dakshineswar, he initiated Sri Ramakrishna into the vatsalya form of worship. With characteristic zeal, Sri Ramakrishna plunged headlong into this sadhana, determined to reach the goal in the shortest time possible. In a few days, he was not only blessed with a constant vision of Sri Ramachandra as the divine child, but he also found that he who appeared before him as the son of King Dasaratha also pervaded every being, that he projected the universe and transcended it in his aspect of pure Brahman, the one without a name, form, or attribute. So through following the prescribed forms of vatsalya, he reached the same goal which he had hitherto attained by his own unaided efforts. I hope you like this chapter. We need volunteers and sponsors to create content with even better quality and with more variety. If you wish to join this initiative as a volunteer or sponsor, please click the links given in description below. To help us reach more viewers, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Biography Central. Thank you for your time. It means a lot. Namaste.